Welcome to day 19 of your 30-day Dental MBA, the wonderful world of orthodontics. Obviously, 2/3 of orthodontics with children. That's why I did the joys of pedo first. Let's continue a little bit more about the joys of pedo because it just bleeds right into the world of orthodontics. And this is kind of the marketing. I put this here. It's kind of marketing for children, kind of in between pedo and orthodontics. But every year, the only real big community event, and you know, I say I live in Phoenix, but no one says they live in the United States of America. No one says they live on the planet Earth. You got 100 million people living in you got 250 million people living in 100 million homes in 300,000 neighborhoods, and most people identify their neighborhood. Everybody in my neighborhood says, oh, I live in Ahwatukee. Well, Ahwatukee has one event every year that the community really gets involved in. That's the Ahwatukee Easter Parade. And here we are, and this is the lawn in front of my dental office. Look at the parade going by my front office. Tell me the value of buying land on a 4-lane street. Dennis told me when I bought that pad there, a Burger King was trying to go there, a Dairy Queen was trying to go there, a Wendy's was trying to go there. To bid out a Dairy Queen and all these places, a Long John Silver's want to go there, I had to pay $275,000 for my pad. And what did Dennis tell me? My gosh, I know guys who bought the entire building and land and everything for $200,000. Yeah, but it's tucked behind a medical dental building. No one sees it. I paid $275,000 for this lot, and look at the advantage I get during Easter Parade. All these people walking by, and I talk about how we went door to door and introduced everybody and say, hi, I'm Howard. This is my wife Judith. Here's a balloon. Here's a toothbrush. We're going to practice here 40 years. We just want to get out and meet the neighborhood, community involvement. About every third house and say, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm gonna have to call you guys to make an appointment. We'd pull out the appointment book. We would not stop on Saturdays and Sundays until Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We had completely filled up all of our openings for an hour and a half for new patient adult for an FMX and exam, 45 minutes new patient kids, bite wings, pano exam, what have you. And we opened up, filled. Why? I wasn't going to sit in there and wait for word-of-mouth referrals. How could I have word-of-mouth referrals when I had no patients who had larynxes that could utter words? That's why it takes you 7 to 9 years to get going, because you sit on the couch and wait for someone to hand it to you on a platter like a Democrat, socialist, communist, okay? You get out there like an independent conservative and you make your own luck, as Jack said in the Titanic. And what I do in the Easter Parade is I want to do something memorable. So I always unicycle down the route, and I have a pouch filled up with toothbrushes and sugarless candy, and I unicycle down throwing toothbrushes to the kids, and patients think it's a riot. And then we build a float, and we put all of our staff's children in there, because children eye on the ball. That's the growth. When we talk about a practice where, a practice from income, production, collection, it's like climbing a mountain. They come out of school, they grow for 20 to 25 years, and then they slide. Well, if I want a determinate variable without finding out the age, when he graduated, and I just want to say, is he on the upslope or the downslope, you can extract that data by seeing what proportion of his practice is children. A growing practice has a significant amount of children in there. A dying practice doesn't. It's a major determinant in word-of-mouth referrals, because women with children make 5 intersocial contacts amongst each other in the village for every one a man's going to make. So we build the float, put our kids in there. Mom's queuing on that like an eyeball and says, oh my gosh, that place must love kids. This is public relations. I did not buy this ad. This is free. This is a covered event in our little Ahwatukee newspaper. And it says, Dr. Howard Farran impressed everyone by unicycling the entire route. And then the staff. Notice I don't have Howard Farran. It's not about me. It's about our concept. It's about McDonald's. It's not about Ray Kroc. It's Today's Dental. It's as much to do about my staff as my patients. They're on wage-weighted profit sharing. It's their entrepreneurship. That's why they're there on their day off. And we even have uniforms on our days off. Like when we go to Continuing Ed, we all wear Today's Dental shirt, khaki pants, kind of like they do on Southwest Airlines, white tennis shoes, white socks, khaki pants, or pink pants, whatever they want to do. I don't pick out their uniforms, obviously. And that's why we attract and retain such quality key staff. When we go to a local continuing education event, and here's 20 people, all in uniforms, khaki pants, white shoes, white tennis shoes, all fired up, all laughing, all into it. other people who are the Scottie Pippens on teams who have never gone to the playoffs, who are sick and tired of a dentist who won't do anything. He's the last one there. He's the first one to leave. He loses temper. He throws instruments. He won't get intro camera. He won't get a laser. He won't get microabrasion. He won't get a CERAC 2. He won't take a course. Won't take him to continue ed with them. And they just say, you know, I'm getting tired of carrying this team. You know, every time I pass someone the ball, it goes out of bounds. I'm into my job and they're not. We attract and retain quality key people by just energy level, by going to CE even in uniform. We are a statement. And it says today's dental 893 care, the tooth family and the staff's pushing their kids. It's all about children's parades, carnivals, fun. There's the float, there's the babies. And at the end of the parade, you know, they have a carnival, a Ferris wheel, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, Ferris wheels, those are pretty interesting. It's where you take your kid you've made, you've dumped all this time, money, energy, love, and commitment to, and you hand it to some guy with 3 teeth who, who doesn't even have a home or a social security number. And you put on equipment that's insured in an offshore corporation. And at the end, you can rent a parking stall for $20. 39 physicians in Ahwatukee, none of them are there. 20 other dentists, none of them are there. The 10 chiropractors, only one there. It's the only successful one. Keith, he's there. He's got his little tent. We're right next to him over here. Do a close-up of this where you can see that's our little, flip it over. Yeah, there you go. Where basically you have where the booth, you know, the chiropractor's up front. We're behind it. We got a little balloon there. We got our helium tank. We're getting out helium balloons. Kids are weird with helium balloons. I don't know what it is. They just get excited about balloons. We go to the Office of Dental Health, and we go and get a bunch of brochures on sealants and gum disease because it's a public event. It's almost like public health. And we have all those brochures. We got our mugs with our name and our phone number, 893-CARE. We got our staff there. The first carnival we ever did, back in 1988, and it was me, Jan, and my wife all day long. People walk by and say, yeah, and they talk about dentists. They always tell these war stories that you've never seen once time in your life. Yeah, I had my wisdom tooth pulled in the Navy. It wouldn't come out. He had to put his knee on my chest and break it in 20 pieces and carry it. I'll never forget that. And you're just like, and he about ripped my mouth open, and he tell you all these horror stories. They're all the same. And he say, well, what do you think's going on right here? And I'd look at it, and then I just sit there and close this out. I'd say, well, you know what? You know, I'd really love to be in my dental office where I can get an x-ray of it or a mirror or whatever. Why don't you come by? What's a good time for you to come by? The first Easter parade, me, my wife, and Jan made 400 appointments at an Easter parade for a $20 stall. Dentists walk out of school, pay $250,000 to $350,000 for a practice that might have 1,200 charts, but only about 400 of them are active. I got a $300,000 office with basically 400 new patients active in one Easter parade for renting a $20 stall and having enough passion, emotion, and interest in dentistry to think it was having fun. We talked about going to the schools where every February is Dental Health Month. We make 5,000 of these every February. We call them fun kits. If I call them a puke bag, people wouldn't like it. I call it a fun kit, so they're smiling before they open it. We have things to color. We have brochures from the Office of Dental Health. We have our latest brochure, Tooth Talk, a card, sugarless gum, a toothbrush with today's Dental 893-CARE. We probably get, we get hundreds of not only new patients every February, hundreds of families. And third-person endorsement means a lot in a little neighborhood because I will go, say the two receptionists go across the street to Lutheran Daycare Center, and they'll hand out these to little 2- and 3-year-olds playing on the swing set. There might be 50 of them or whatever, and moms will come in and will say, well, why did you choose today's dental? And they'll say, well, I think one of the dentists here must have a kid in the Lutheran Daycare Center because I got this when I picked up my child. Or they say things like, well, the Lutheran Church endorses him because I take my child there, and he came home one day with this. So obviously, there's 2,000 dentists in Arizona, and they chose today's dental to be their corporate dentist or their church dentist. Or they just see this third-person endorsement. Third-person endorsements are everything. You have to be into children to want to attract children. I know several orthodontists. One is, I know an orthodontist who's not married, doesn't have any children, and he's always scolding his patients. And he's been very unhappy. He's been very miserable his whole time. I know an orthodontist, same neighborhood, Same medical dental building, has 2 kids, loves kids, into kids. On his days off, he's a soccer coach, he's a t-ball coach. He's got kids coming out of the wazoo. Same thing with hygienists. If you got 2 hygienists, one's a 60-year-old lady, never was married, never had a kid, or maybe she was married, had kids a long time ago, but now she's not into it. And you got another hygienist who's 25 and has 2 kids of her own. If you get an old grandpa on there, give her with grandma hygienist. If you got a kid if you got a patient coming in that's 3, give her to the hygienist that has a 3. Same thing with the dental assistants. When I'm working on a child, if I have a 22-year-old dental assistant that's never had children, she's afraid of the kid, she doesn't know how to handle the kid intimidates her, but you get a dental assistant there that's had 3 children, raised 3 of her own children, she knows how to deal with children. Now, Johnny, I need you to sit up, and she just grabs them and moves them up 4 inches. The other assistant's like, well, move a little, can you move up? Can you just scoot? Any gosh darn dental assistant, the kid just grabs the kid and scoots it up. I mean, these kids aren't going to bite you. I've never been bitten by a kid. And when you have a newborn baby, you have an announcement, you want your patients to be your friends, send the announcement. You know, on SoftDent, it'll print out labels. We talked earlier, every time I have a child, I always took out a full-page ad. Eric Wells, Farran, weight 8 pounds, 6 ounces, cavity 0, $500 new page ad, several thousand baby gifts. Then Greg was born, DDS to B, born on President's Day, need I elaborate? Well, let's see, weight 9 pounds, 7 ounces. Does that woman have big boys or what? It's a girl, not 3 boys in a row. Ryan's born, 2nd quarter of the Suns game, Sir Charles had line for 2, 9 pounds, 10 ounces. If you know how to make a girl, call Dr. Farran. That's how you get children in your office. They know you're having children, you're into children. You can do children's ortho all day long. And there's the last one, old Zach. It's a boy, again. And then he was born, what did he weigh? I don't know, 7 pounds, 14.5 ounces. That's bizarre. He's the fattest boy I got. And you know, you have to have, if you stir interest in kids, you'll get kids. It goes back to the old Jewish saying where if you really want something, then give it out. If you want money, give out money. What does it mean? If you make everybody rich around you, you'll get rich. If you want everybody to be nice to you, be nice to everyone else. It's the human law of reciprocity, and the psychiatrists have stumbled upon it, sociologists stumbled upon it, religion stumbled upon it, philosophers stumbled upon it. Everybody knows that whatever it is that you really want, start giving it out, and you're going to get it right back. Get community involvements. 3 valley cities are living in decay. I was a fluoride kingpin dentist out here for a long time, always keeping fluoride controversial until it was in, keeping it stirred up in the news. Every Halloween, we did a really neat deal on Halloween. What we did is we said, come to our first annual Great Candy Roundup. Bring your little Wranglers over our way, join in the fun and collect prizes. Bring your sugar-laden Halloween trick-or-treat candy to Dr. Farran's office Monday, November 1st between 3 and 6 p.m. and receive sugar-free candy, 50-cent piece, McDonald's coupons, a goodie bag with surprises, balloons, and protect your teeth from tooth decay. And we were giving that out to all of our patients in October, and then we mailed it out to all of our patients. We ran an ad in the newspaper, and it was so funny. When we showed up there, we were setting this thing up about 2 o'clock. At 3 o'clock it started. I was freaked out. We had a helicopter news crew, 3 news crew channels, 2 newspapers carried it. I mean, I had no idea how unique this was. And, you know, marketing's fun. And the microabrasion is another thing. I want to talk about this, and I love talking about this because most of the attack articles written me in the national journals were my position on this. And I love to be attacked in the national journals because I know a pioneer is anyone with 2 arrows in their back. And if you don't have any arrows in your back, you're not a pioneer. I mean, if you go to the dental study club and start bitching and whining and moaning and saying the sky's falling, everybody wants to be your friend. You stand up and say the sky's not falling on me, it's only falling on you because you're not thinking clearly. Leaders are pioneers. Pioneers have arrows in their back. If you don't have an arrow in your back, you're not walking close enough to the edge of success. So on these microabrasion machines like the KCP 1000, the Creative Mach 5, the Dent Supply air abrasion system, I have all the systems. They're all great. It's fantastic. But sealants, Rella Christian is a genius. Gordon Christian's the god of dentistry, mainly because he married Rella. She's absolutely a genius. She's a genius anyone ahead of her time. She says in the December issue of CRA 1988, Subject, sealants, technique for improved retention. Pits and fissures in teeth are filled with debris and dental plaque. In spite of attempts at practitioners to clean these areas before sealant placement, conventional mechanical means are inadequate. International research shows up to 30% of sealants have failed by 3 years of service. That was 1998. That was 1988. 1998 would have been 10 years. It's the year 2000. It's 12 years later. Now, every long-term research shows sealants fail 10% a year. 30% are gone in 3 years. Half are gone in 5 years. They're all gone in 10 years. Sealants do not prevent decay. Sealants delay decay. Why? Because we know that, in fact, here's a study. Scanning electron microscopic observations of gaps and fractional sealants suggest failure or degradation of adhesion. Gaps and unetched areas may cause failure rate totaling more than 21% after 6 months. That was a Journal of Clinical Pediatric Dentist, 1995, 99 to 104. Everybody knows this stuff. What happens is we took technology and said, if you acid etch enamel and put resin on it, you can adhesively bond to it. Duh. If you acid etch dentin and put primer, HEMA, hydroxyalumethacrylate, then a little coat of resin, you can bond to that. Duh, we know that. Everyone knows that. The problem is you're not acid etching dentin. You're not acid etching enamel. You're acid etching pits and fissures filled with cow dung. It's kind of like you're falling off of a building, but before you fall off, you grab a pigeon around the neck. You bonded to the pigeon and now you're going to die, okay? You're bonding to pits and fissures. What I want you to do is do this. I want you to really isolate the area, the back of your dog's hind leg, really isolate it so it's dry, acid etch, rent, put on all the stuff, bond a sealant onto the back of your dog's rear and see how long it stays on, okay? It's not the sealant, it's a technique. You want a technique for improved retention? Microabrasion. Throws out a 27 to 54 micron particle, aluminum oxide's the third hardest substance known to man. Diamond dust number 1, carbamide dust number 2. Problem with carbamide dust is jet black. Aluminum oxide is the third hardest substance known to man, and they throw it out in a particle, 27 to 54 microns, about 600 feet per second. And if you jump on a trampoline, it bounces back. If you hit glass, it shatters. I want you to, what we do with this, we always have a hard-boiled egg in there, and we show Mom how it works. Take a hard-boiled egg, it'll blow off the brittle shell, but it won't blow out anything with a hard-boiled egg because the boiled egg is soft, so the particle hits it, bounces off. You'll find that, in fact, these microabrasions don't even blow out decay. What they do is they blow out the interface where the decay hits a tooth. You're just cleaning out all this sludge. Now here's a tooth. No stick on this. In 1987 or 1988, when Rollo was saying 30% of sealants have failed in 3 years, according to all international research, I was acid etching these teeth and putting sealants on there. And then since I see these kids on 6-month recall, I maintain 2 full-time hygienists for every 2 operatories of a full-time general dentist. That's the ratio to success. If you want to be able to refer out the endo you don't want to do, the implants you don't want to do, the wisdom teeth you don't want to do, the pedodontics you don't want to do, the ortho you don't want to do, the perisurgery you don't want to do, if you only want to do what you love, because remember, if a rat licks a switch and it shocks them, even a rat will quit licking it. When a rat licks a switch and it gives them a reward, a rat will go back. When you go into your dental office and you do stuff you hate on people you hate, it leads to burnout, disease, depression, drug addiction, alcohol abuse, humping the help, getting divorced, dysfunctional behavior. If you only play the games you want to play, you're going to like it. And back to these 2 teeth here. Back when Rollo was saying they don't work, I was putting sealants, I was acid etching this stuff, putting on sealants, seeing these kids on 6-month recalls. They never got 2 or 3 or 4 years out, and I'm like, well, it kind of chipped off. And before you leave, let me real quick run you back to this room and just try to repair it, because I know there's no revenue. It's kind of like the first time I did the sealant, it's like a semi in Phoenix taking a load to Los Angeles. But then when it chips off, it's like that semi driving all the way back to Phoenix with nothing in the back. It's deadhead. It's overhead. It's a negative drain on my cash flow, my time. And it got to the point where, my God, 3, 4, 5 years out, it was just like, no longer was it our sealant shipping. It's like, well, what do we want to do? How many times, what's the limit we'll reseal this tooth? Should we charge her again? So then we started saying, well, it's not our fault they're chipping all off, or we got rubber dams on them, we're doing everything right. You go to courses and they tell you everything's your fault, but oh yeah, it's your fault you're getting sensitivity. We've never had sensitivity. Yeah, how many times you heard that one? And they said they're in And don't say, oh, I've never had a root canal fail. God, look at the research studies on some of the best. You talk to a high self-esteem endodontist like Cliff Ruddle, Ben Johnson, G. John Schofield, John Spadden, Kit Weathers, Patrick Wall. Say, well, have you ever had a root canal fail? And he'll say, what month are you talking about? I mean, hell yes, they have failed. If they're high self-esteem people, they'll admit the truth. And finally got to the point where we're going back to mom and say, well, mom, we need to reseal all your daughters' molars again. And they've only been on 3 years. They're all chipped off. We're going to have to charge you again because, we know we're doing it all right. And then the mom said, oh, well, what do you mean you got to redo them again? You said, this is a bad deal. And then if you didn't reseal it because you were busy, you had this burning gut, we'll reschedule them. It was just a negative deal. I didn't want to stay there. It's negativism. Negativism needs to, I don't like my job. It's burned out. It's disease, depression. It's 5 o'clock. I'm unlistened. I don't want your home number. And I'm going to go escape into Budweiser and golf and other dysfunctional weird stuff. So what do? You started staying these things up. Educate the patient. Here, let me show you where decay is. This is caries indicator. We tell them this discloses cavities. A lot of anal retendoes come back to me and say, well, it also stains plaque and not just decay. And don't be anal. This is a teaching device. We stain up with caries cavity indicating red juice, rinse it off, and we say, see, Mom, that's where all the decay is. It's kind of like you only get 2 cavities. Notice this filling here. Notice how it goes in between the teeth. See, about half the cavities are flossing cavities. And the other halves are sealant cavities. If you floss every morning, every night, you won't have a cavity. Here's a list of all our staff when they had their last cavity. The average staff person in here hasn't had a cavity since they were working here. If they were in dentistry before, they hadn't had a cavity for 20 years. Most of us haven't had a cavity since we got into dentistry. But the other ones are sealant cavities from not having a sealant. Mom, if you took a birdhouse and filled it up with cement, how many birds would live in it? She says none. So if I take those pits and fissures, where bugs can get down there, and you can't brush them out. In fact, Mom, the smallest thing your eye can see is 1,000 microns wide. This bug is 5 microns wide. It takes 200 bugs side by side before your eyeball can even see it. Can you see that? In the bugs world, that's the population of Phoenix, Arizona. So what we do is we'll spray that out, and there's, you can see, that's like 2 minutes of spraying. They start like that. 2 minutes later, then you got to go back and you get a couple more dots. You spray, it gets dusty, you rinse dry, and then you sit there and put in a sealant. And then what's going to happen? The thing's going to stay. Now here's a little kid come in on the second molar here, that black dot. There was no stick on that. Everything's fine on the X-ray. So you put a sealant on that. My gosh, look at that black dot. What is the difference between white and black? I just had a big run-in with my kid's kindergarten teacher, and my wife says I'm never allowed to go to a parent-teacher conference again. They were asking about the colors, and they're talking about colors, and Ryan said that white and black weren't a color, and the kindergarten teacher said they were. And I went back and said, it's not. White is all light coming back. White means that the light hit it, and it's all coming back. Black means the light went in there 186,000 miles a second, 5.8 trillion miles in a year, or 6 trillion kilometers in a year, and it never came back out. So if light's flying in there 186,000 miles a second and never comes out, you should be thinking, damn, I wonder what's down there. I mean, think about it. What if you saw a closet and 186,000 patients a second were running in a closet, none of them ever came out? You wouldn't sit there and tape the door shut. You'd wonder what the hell's down there. So you sit there and we take this air abrasion and we no shot, no drill, spray it out. There it is. 1 minute later, and you were going to put a sealant on that? Look at that. It was a cave. It was a whole colony. It was the state of Arizona living down there. So you sit there, and there it's restored. So that would have been a sealant on a 12-year molar. Insurance don't pay for sealants on 12-year molars. What about the ones before? Sealants on a bicuspid. Insurance doesn't pay for them. So you sit there and methodology without rationale is like memory without understanding. You got to know what you're doing. So here's a person comes in, and they have a flossing cavity. This is my favorite 8x10. We have this in every room. We say, see, Mom? We have a flossing filling here. By the way, Mom, you know your husband? He was in last week. He had a 30-year-old flossing filling. You know why we had to do a crown on him? He had a huge flossing cavity underneath a 30-year-old flossing filling. I've told Jim, you haven't flossed since you were born. If you say, tell me you floss religiously, it's Christmas and Easter. I floss every morning, every night. Here's my list of my staff. If you want to stop having these $500-$700 crowns, and see, I need to say that because mom's sitting there thinking, you know what, I'm mad at you. You know, I went in there and my husband came out and he got a crown, $700, had to put on our Visa card because we don't have dental insurance, you know. And when I was little, we used to go to the dentist and they just do fillings. And it seems like every time I send them to you, it's a crown or a root canal. What's going on here? So I show this picture. I say, see, Mom, here we are. Here's a flossing filling. And if he flossed every day, he wouldn't get that. But see these right here? Now, dentist, hygienist, staff, look. If you put a sealant on 2 bicuspids, are insurance going to pay? No. And what do you get for a sealant? $30? And the insurance aren't going to pay? And you tell Mom, oh, a sealant prevents decay. And then Mom looks at her insurance that she's got, paid for by her employer. She sees the insurance agent as an agent representing her in her transaction with you. So he's representing her to her best interest in her mind because he's an agent. What does a sports agent do? Represent the athlete or represent the owner? Mom sees my employer buys benefits to an insurance agent. The agent represents me. The agent says a brochure right here, I pay 100% of preventive. You say the sealant prevents decay and they don't cover it? They're confused. And then you put a sealant on $30 and how much insurance paid? Nothing. All out of her pocket. 3-4 years later starts chipping. And then other low self-esteem dentists have written me, I've got 100 letters on this in the last 5 years. Say, well, Howard, I wouldn't have sealed those anyway. I would have watched him. Well, I mean, come on. I take my newborn baby into the doctor, and a real doctor, a real pediatrician, he throws every immunization he's got at those children. He vaccinated for diphtheria and whooping cough and measles and hepatitis C and chicken pox, all this stuff. How come real doctors vaccinate everything, and then you just sit there and watch disease to materialize in your eye? And if it confuses you, call the ADA, 1-800-618-8099, and their library's all on disk, and they computer word search, or get on Grateful Med. Grateful Med, you get in there and you hunt down medical science research. The National Institute of Dental Research is on it, National Institute of Dental Health. But not only that, but it's research from Germany, Italy, Australia, Hawaii, Japan. I mean, it's amazing what's on there. And you can see that even in a Florida community since Grand Rapids, that by the time your population is 65, 75 years old, this is a 80-90% DMFT, disease missing filled tooth or disease missing filled surface. What are you watching for? Not to mention, Mom's in there today, she's motivated to prevent. So you sit there, and I'm not doing a sealant, so I get out the air abrasion, spray those out. Now, if a doctor alters the enamel to dentin and restores it, it's not a sealant. It's a restoration. A doctor alters the enamel to dentin and restores it. It's not a sealant. Now, these are no longer sealants. These are preventative resin restorations or occlusal composites, whatever you're going to do. Now, Gordon wrote me a letter. He said, Howard, at CRA, we found out that only 87% of them actually go to dentin. 13% are still sealants. And I said, well, Gordon, just keep spraying a little longer. Duh! And that was just a joke. Today is the tomorrow we talked about yesterday. You know, get patients in your chair, hygienist. And you tell me you can't afford to have an intraoral camera in your hygienist room to educate visually what's going on. And we sit there and our hygienist says, oh, after a cleaning, by the way, have you heard about no shot, no drill dentistry? Well, see, here's what the deal is. In the olden days, we knew the cavities started up here. They're either in between the teeth because you don't floss. That's where the gum disease and flossing, fillings, crowns, root canals are. Or they're on the tops of these teeth where you have these little pits and fissures in the teeth. Well, we used to just watch them. We'd watch that little brown get bigger and bigger and bigger until it got so big we had to give you a shot. We had to drill out the whole top of the tooth and plug a big filling in there. Now, if we go in there while it's real small and blow it out now while it's small, we can do this without a shot and it's tooth colored. So here it is. We rinse. Here's the no shot, no drill caries indicator. We rinse it off, see where the bugs are down in there, and then we blow them out with our little $20,000 machine. Always tell your patients what you paid for it so they know you incur cost. So they know that you're really in this. We paid $20,000 for that machine because we didn't want to give you a shot. We didn't want to drill at the top. When you drill at the top, it shatters the tooth, and then there it is all drilled out, all cleaned out. Go to the slide. And there it is all cleaned out. And then that's consumerism. Self-preventive dentistry over yesterday's drill, fill, and bill. Practice minimally invasive dentistry. Don't ever break the golden rule. Would you want to get a shot? Would you want it drilled out? And dentists also tell me, well, Howard, what would you do if like you did sealants on this lady a year ago and now they're all off and now you have this and you're telling her to do this, but just last year you told her that sealants were great. how does every other industry handle it? I mean, when I just bought my last Suburban this year, did I go in there and say, well, wait a minute, how come this one has airbags and anti-lock brakes and the last one you sold me 93 didn't? They'd say, are you impaired? Are you aware that every new car that comes out has new features? That's why it's a new car, a new design. And by the way, I used to hate class 3s because you always numb them up, you go from behind, you're drilling a mirror, you're making these big boxes, you get microabrasion, you take these things, and go to a close-up on this. You know, there you go. Place a rubber dam, no anesthetic, blow these babies out. You know, there they are, you know, 5 minutes later. In fact, the time I used to wait to numb them up and get them numb, now I'm done. It is the fate of yesterday's heresies to become today's truth, as Huxley would say. And a lot of these people are telling you that these microabrasion removes amalgams. In my opinion, that's about the biggest amalgam I would ever remove with any microabrasion system. Otherwise, it'd take 40 days and 40 nights. And I don't have time to sit there and blow out a filling 1 micron a day. Get real close on here. I want to show you on this one. The nature of decay has changed. Here's a tooth extracted that no one could get a stick on. We start to shave it back. And then you get right here. Do you see this little right on the left, right here on this tooth here? Okay, right there. Now go close up right there again. Flip over, switch. No, switch over to the other one. The toggle deal. See that little line there? I'm shaving this tooth back. Now you see a little crack going. Go back a little farther. Look at that. It's mush. You cannot get a stick. Why? Before water fluoridation, the nature of decay was 1 mile wide and 1 inch deep. Why? Because decay is oxygen inhibited. Air's got 20.9% oxygen. The teeth were, the enamel was not very resistant to the acid solubility decay, and so the whole thing was wide, it was open, there was air, it didn't go deep. It was shallow and wide. Now, we find out 52 years of water fluoridation since January 25th, 1945, that the enamel had a high affinity for fluoride. Not the dentin, not the cementum, not the pulp. The only thing fluoride changed was the enamel's solubility resistance to acid of decay. So now if it barely gets through the crack, now it's into dentin, and the top of the hole gets plugged up with food, tartar, whatever. It closes the lid. There's an oxygen-free environment. There's dentin, which is only 68% inorganic, which means it's 32% food, and these things mushroom out. So it used to be the mushrooms on the top, and it was 1 mile wide, 1 inch deep. Now it's 1 inch wide. It goes under and undulates and umbrellas and mushrooms out, and it's mush. I do these preventive restorations. I do them arch at a time. Man, I get them in there. I would rather the assistant go in there and spend 20 minutes getting on a rubber dam and isolating, because if I go in there and it's a kid, and you start blowing sand around in their mouth and they want to sit up and rinse, and it just takes forever, and then if they close or lick or whatever, it blows the seal. I'd rather the assistant go in there and spend 20 minutes getting on a rubber dam while I'm doing something else. I'm doing a hygiene check, I'm cementing a crown, I'm finishing up in another room, because if I walk in this rubber band, I can do 8 of those perfect, get an A on every one of them, and I can do it in 10 or 15 minutes every time. And then I'll leave the room, go do something else, and she'll put on the lower arch, come back and do the lower arch. And we say just rubber dams. A lot of people say I don't like rubber dams. What I like the most about rubber dams is patient control. I mean, if I go in there, the first thing I start doing, hey, Howie, how's the dog? How's the wife? How's the kid? How's the car? How's Eric? How's Greg? How's Ryan? How's Zach? But if they have a rubber dam on, it's like, hey, how you doing? And they can't move their tongue. I'm in, out, in adhesive dentistry. You can't have saliva. Saliva is not water. Hell, you wish the tooth just got wet. It's filled with mucus and serous fluid and mucoglycoproteins and sludge. You can't do adhesive dentistry with all that sludge on there. And then we talked about, this is what we call framing. This is a central characteristic of brainwashing, where you tell someone that the maxillary tooth has a transverse ridge. Bicuspids have a transverse ridge. Incisors have a cingulate pit. But for some reason, a mandibular molar doesn't have one, even though every geometric structure has transverse ridges. How would Mother Nature make something like that without a transverse ridge? But they tell you right here out of your operative book, they say central pit. They tell you that you have a central pit in a mandibular molar, that you don't have a transverse ridge. Then they tell you, see that? There's a central pit there. There's no transverse ridge. And we all, since the argument was framed, since they told us what we would see, we saw a central pit. But when you look there, look at that. What is that? That's a transverse ridge. And then here's the other picture they show you of the central pit. Hell, that's not a central pit. That's a crappy photograph, man. That's just a shadow. There's a transverse ridge there. Here's another deal. It's called framing. They say, well, they got to tell you what you're going to see when they see the photo. So even though it's not on the photo, you think you see it. They say, see, the mandibular molar has a central pit. That's what it looks like. Then they show you this picture. See it? Did you see it? See what I mean? You swallowed it, you're programmed, and then the rest of your life, all you see is transverse ridges, but you still see a central pit because someone framed with heuristics, biases, mainly framing. They told you what you're going to see. You believed it. You saw it. I did the same thing. Look at this mandibular molar. Go cut in close. Go to the slide. There it is, a section mandibular molar. Look at those ridges there. That's the central pit. It's a ridge. It's a mandibular transverse ridge. Section your own gosh darn mother-in-law and look for yourself. And I had this machine 5 years ago before you even saw it on the gosh darn press. This thing's taken off. It's going to follow the same market penetration rate and speed as intraoral cameras. Intraoral cameras in 1987, 1% of the dentists had one. And by 1997, 10 years later, 40% had one. Same thing with air abrasion. In fact, the people who bought the intraoral camera first at $30,000 bought these air abrasion machines first at the price, and everyone else who's waiting 5 or 10 years till the price comes from $40,000 to $10,000 for an intraoral camera. Meanwhile, they left millions of dollars of dentistry on the table, or did millions of dollars worth of expired, extinct dentistry, waiting for the price to come down. It's the same guy with a lockbox over his thermostat, Dr. Tightass. When you know who he is at a convention, because when he walks, his butt squeaks. In fact, you could sharpen a number 2 pencil in his rear end. I mean, just go for it, people. And, you know, here's 2 of my dentist friends in the neighborhood. We all went to Creighton. We're all dentists. We all have 4 kids. Actually, this picture's not very real because you can only get in there for about 3 minutes in the jacuzzi. The water starts turning yellow and your eyes start burning. You have to jump out. I don't know what it is with boys, but they put 1 foot in the jacuzzi, and then they put the second foot in, and then they freeze. They look like a deer looking at a headlight, and that's when you jump out. And do this with your argon laser. Bring a kid in there after dark, no light, turn off all the lights, put the argon laser on each side of the tooth, and this little tooth just illuminates, just blue. And then sit there and turn on the lights and take a diamond or whatever you use and just prep out the decay for a little bit of occlusal, rinse dry, turn out the lights, illuminate the tooth with your argon laser curing light, and the tooth looks like shattered glass. Okay, when you go in there with a drill, if you don't believe me, and in fact, I can't even believe dentists use carbamide burrs. Take a glass, take any glass, take your drill and drill a hole through it with a steel burr with a right angle. You'll shatter the whole damn thing. Take your china and try to drill a hole through it with a carbamide burr. If you ask any glass cutter with a flipper and 5 teeth with a tattoo says I killed mom and say drill a hole through that glass, he uses a very coarse diamond with no water. It takes 8 years of dental school to get you to flush all common sense down and to sit there and use steel burrs and you say you flood it with water to keep the tooth cool. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. And you sit there and here's what the occlusal looks like. Go back to this. Go to the slide. There's what an occlusal looks like with air abrasion. See the transverse ridge? No shatter, no nothing. Here's a tooth before. And you sit there and dentists look at it and say, oh, I wouldn't have done that. I would have watched it. Okay, you're low self-esteem. Maybe your pediatrician should have gave you the polio vaccine and just watched you until one day when your leg was stiff and dragging, he said, well, maybe I should have given the vaccine. Now half his body doesn't work. Okay, don't be a tight ass with health care. And warranty, I had to go to microabrasion because I warrantied all my sealants for 5 years. And if I was going to warranty my sealants 5 years, provides patients a peace of mind, reduces confrontation. If something falls off, mom has more confrontational strength to come back and confront me with it. But the only condition on the warranty is Chrysler's not going to warranty your car for 70,000 miles, 7 years, unless you come in every 2,000 or 3,000 miles for an oil change. I'll warranty all my dentistry for 5 years, but I got to see you every 6 months for a clean exam and x-ray. I can't do a root canal on you, have you come back in 5 years and can't even find the tooth. So I had to go to microabrasion because I had these people active. I had them on recall. They were given warranties. They were given instructions. And I got tired of repairing them all for free. And insurance companies just say that this is a scam. Come on, insurance companies. Try to have a long-term approach. Do you want to pay for a sealant for $30 every 3 years the rest of life and eventually it's going to have a filling? Or do you rather pay up front once, do it right? Well, actually, they're not going to want to do it once up front right because of Milton Friedman. He said you only spend money smartly and efficiently when you spend your own money on yourself. When you spend your own money on someone else, it gets less efficient. When you spend your own money, when you spend other people's money on yourself, now you're going to hog wild, and that's very inefficient. But when you spend other people's money on other people, Milton Friedman said, you make local decisions, very inefficient, and it's all waste, a lot government. And and when you extinct a procedure and say, well, we don't do sealants anymore, we do preventive restoration, just change your patient education sheet, update them. Ortho. Orthodontics is fantastic. And go with the flow. Know your customer. Be your customer. We have we have 224 countries. Women of color, Hispanic, African American, basically high self-esteem, colorful people, they love gold brackets. I don't know if you can see the gold. Cut to the slide and see if you can see this. Here's a gorgeous woman, and she loves gold braces. European women, for some reason, they don't want to do that. I don't know why African Americans like gold braces and Hispanics like gold meso crowns, and people who are tall, dark, and handsome, and women of color who are gorgeous, they like gold. Have gold brackets, have silver, and then have those clear brackets for the people with no self-esteem. And you know it's no self-esteem because they don't want to draw any attention to themselves. A high self-esteem woman wants to work it, okay? She's working it. She's proud of her $4,000 braces. Why do women have gold earrings, gold chains, gold pierced navels, gold this, gold that, gold everything? And then they want clear brackets because they think their orthodontics is a flaw and they're not proud of it because someone seeded their mind with, you got a bad bite. You got a malocclusion. You have a horrible bite. You have horrible teeth. See, don't say that. When you sit there and say you have great teeth, oh, come on, don't tell me. And I tell all of them, I said, don't tell me. You're to come in here with gold earrings, gold watches, gold bracelets, and not let me put gold on your teeth? What the hell's that? And the white women are like, oh, well, I don't want to draw any attention to myself. High self-esteem Hispanics, Guadalupe Indians, African Americans, they love gold. So it says a lot. Gold's a noble metal. Why would you not want to put noble or precious metal on your teeth? But I've had one European descendant girl go with gold brace. That's the brunette on the left. And there's a gorgeous blonde on the right. She's knock dead gorgeous. And she had to use clear brackets. And I don't even know what clear brackets are for anyway, because by the time you put a colored rubber band around it, you can't see the bracket if it's silver anyway. But orthodontics, the reason you have to learn ortho is, first of all, this kid is in your office. You've only got a small window of time to intervene with this bite. You sit there and do veneers on this when he's older because he didn't want ortho. My first question is, why did he get his teeth cleaned every 6 months? And who was asleep behind the wheel? And the dentist always tell me, well, you know, I told the mother that she should go in there for ortho, but she didn't want to. Well, maybe she thought it was cosmetic. Maybe she did not. Maybe you didn't understand what you were talking about. You didn't have passion to say, hey, Mom, look at these teeth. Look at this. What is his teeth hitting? His teeth. If teeth hit teeth, he eats his own teeth. He's going to chew these up. He's going to break them. He's going to ruin them. By 65, they're going to be broken off. He's going to wear these babies down. He's eating his own teeth, Mom. Who do you think this is? Jay Leno? Let's get orthodontics on this kid and get it fixed. If you really understand the knowledge, you have more passion and more feelings, and you can sell ortho. First of all, let's back up all the way and get rid of some major misbeliefs. What caused ortho anyway? People say, I don't know, he's born with crooked teeth. Well, then tell me this. Why do the other 4 great apes not have crooked teeth? Why do gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzees, and gibbons not have crooked teeth? Why do the 187 species of monkeys not have crooked teeth? And you say, well, humans do, and we're not a monkey, we're not an ape. Okay, well, why do the aborigines not? Why do the Aborigines have perfect teeth? Why do the Indian tribes in the Amazon rainforest have perfect teeth? How come every time you dig up Neanderthal or Peking Man or Javaman or Neanderthal or go right to Arizona State University where they got the oldest hominid fossil ever found, Lucy, 3.5 million years old, a 40-inch tall, 40-pound chick, which means they must have had whiskey back then because the species is here. Well, what does that mean? Why are we the only ones? Well, no one likes to talk about it because you're very racially sensitive, but it's from miscegenation. It's mixed breeding. People come in your office and say, oh, I'm Italian. Really? Then why do you need braces? Well, you need braces because you got German teeth, with Irish teeth, with Polish teeth, with Chinese teeth, with every gosh darn, you're a Heinz 57 mutt. And basically also what it is your daddy was 6'4", and your mama was 5'1". And you got daddy's teeth in mama's jaw. And see, if you got a big kidneys and a small liver, soft stuff just moves around. But when you got a 6'2" tooth delivered from dad in mama's 5'1" jaw, the parts don't go together. We know right now with all the apes and monkeys are brown-haired, brown-eyed, brown skin. Okay, those are what we call dominant genes. We know right now on the earth, we have 6 billion people, and 85% of the planet has dominant genes of brown hair, brown eye, brown skin, and in 3 million years we'll all be brown head, brown eyed, brown skin. In fact, the rarest thing on the planet right now is a redhead. So if you have one, you better hang on to her because she'll be more valuable every year it goes by. And redhead breeds with anything, she's gone. I mean, it just disappears. I mean, anything just disappears. And the only thing to keep a redhead is another redhead or a blonde or something. But what happens is it's going to be, the geneticists say it'll be about 3.5 million years before everyone's brown-haired, brown-eyed, brown skin, class 1 molar, class 1 canine, back to normal occlusion. If the zoo called up and said, we had 100 baby chimpanzees born last night, would anybody say, what color were their eyes? They'd say, it was a chimpanzee. Oh, what color was its hair? Did we tell you it was a chimpanzee? Yeah, they're all brown-haired, brown-eyed, brown skin. None of them have crooked bites. They're all class 1 molar, class 1 canine. So orthodontics looks pretty good for at least a short run of about 3.5 billion years old. That's why 99%, about 54% of orthodontics done in the year 1998 was done by general dentists. And a lot of dentists are freaked out by that figure, and even orthodontics get mad and say, that's not true. I know that's not true. That's a bad figure. Well, first of all, slow down. Out of 22,000 towns, only 8 of them have over 1 million people in the United States. 45 out of 100 people live in a town that doesn't have any of the 8 specialties. Ortho, endo, perio, pedo. So 45% of the children don't even have an orthodontist in their backyard. Over 51% of ortho is now done by general dentists. And basically what you got to do is, so why do wisdom teeth need removed? Wisdom teeth need to be removed. We found that studying Dr. Begg in Australia, the orthodontist watching Aborigines. Turns out that, we wash our food. Well, all the other apes and monkeys are back in more primitive days. We were eating food with sand and dirt. And the grit, by the time we were born to the time we were 17, the average person would wear down all the occlusal surfaces. We'd wear past the pits and fissures. And we'd do 5 millimeters per quadrant of interproximal wear. All teeth always drift towards the occlusion, up or down. And they drift mesially. So all teeth drift naturally towards occlusion mesial because all the forces are going down and forward. Teeth don't drift back. They drift forward, up and down to the occlusion. And by age 17, the average human would have worn down the occlusal surfaces from just grit in the campfire food to all the pits and fissures gone and 5 millimeters of interproximal contact. The teeth would all shift down and the wisdom tooth slides right up into place. So why do we have to get our wisdom teeth? Why are they impacted? Because we have this clean diet. There's no grit. You have 18-year-old kids who haven't even worn down the points of their molars. All their pits and fissures are there. The body in the last 3.5, 5, 10 million years of evolution was expecting all this to wear down interproximally, teeth shift forward, and nothing moved forward, and that wisdom tooth's impacted. So the way you can really prevent this is when you have children. If you're one of those environmentalist, tree-hugging Al Gore lovers, what you do is every time your kid sits down to have a bowl of cereal, you put 1 tablespoon of dirt in the cereal. It's real natural. And he'll wear all of his teeth down, and then he won't have his unnatural wisdom teeth removed artificially by an oral and maxillofacial surgeon, you numbnut. So then, so if you learn ortho, here's a kid, you didn't just fix orthodontics. Let's go back to this case here. Orthodontics is the teeth, orthognathics is the jaws, okay? You're not just moving teeth around. Any tooth jockey can move teeth around orthodontically on an adult, but you're moving, at this age in children, you're moving teeth and jaws, you're correcting bites. I mean, that kid doesn't even know how lucky he's going to be for having that. So think about this stuff that you're doing. Look at this little kid. Now, if this little kid came in every 6 months for cleaning, you said, Mom, Johnny's got crooked teeth. And Mom's sitting there thinking, yeah, but I had braces when I was 16, and I helped pay for half of them because I put, my mom's deal was, if you want braces, they're a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money. We're a big Irish Catholic family. We got 17 kids, and you're going to have to wait till you're 16 to get a job, and you're going to have to pay for half. But you don't know enough about orthodontics. I say, no, Mom, this isn't an orthodontic case. This is an orthognathic case. We have arch constriction. We have to get in there while the kid's moldable. Girls before 12 and a half, boys before 14 and a half. And we need to put an appliance in there and get some arch development. And if you sit there and wait till she's 16, she's not going to need half down for orthodontics. She's going to need orthognathic surgery. You're going to have to cut jaws. And we did on the lower jaw. 1/3 of the people had some form of paresthesia down there. You don't want nerve damage and surgery. We got to get in there now. I'm sorry, Mom. Maybe you needed orthodontics when you were a kid. This child needs orthognathics, okay? She needs orthopedic orthodontics. Let's move this around, and you'll find out orthodontists Orthodontists always think that if a general dentist learns how to do an orthodontic case, that he's going to lose one slice of his pie. Well, let's back up, orthodontists. How much ortho was done in 1940? Come on, 1940, you had 200 million Americans. No ortho was done. Today you have 300 million Americans almost. You have 270 million Americans. And what percent of America needs ortho, didn't get ortho? Wall Street, Merrill Lynch, all the big firms who are studying of all the publicly traded dental companies, only one of them is on the New York Stock Exchange. That's Orthodontic Centers of America with a market capitalization over $1 billion. It's ran by Lazarus, the guy's probably single-handedly the smartest dentist in the world. Businessman, and he don't write any practice management books. He don't have to. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars. And this guy knows, Wall Street knew to get behind Lazarus because he wasn't selling needs. He wasn't selling root canals and HMO dentistry and Medicaid dentistry and Medicare dentistry, a bunch of high legal exposure, low margin stuff. Lazarus was going after ortho. And mom and dad want to buy ortho for kids because if I marry you and we get married and we make a baby and it looks goofy, we feel bad. We're like, God damn it, our kid's goofy. And, you shouldn't have married me. I should have married you. Now we got Goofy. He's never going to get married. Hell, he looks like he can get corn on the cob through a chain link fence. They feel guilty. They want this kid, they're thinking, mom's thinking about the big wedding. Dad's thinking just get him out of the damn house. And they just think, their kid just can't look goofy. It's the easiest sell in the world, which is why I don't understand why orthodontists do an hour consultation for their new patients. And they think it's value-added service. It's a waste of time. How would you like to leave work tomorrow an hour early to go get an hour consultation on your transmission? Do you give a rat's rear? I don't give a rear. You sit there for an hour, and everybody sits there because they think they have to. And they sit there for an hour, listen to all this Latin, Greek, Latin, and Greek. You think it's value-added. I know orthodontists. I know general dentists. No names mentioned. I want to get back to that. It's myself. I just go in the cleaning room. Mom, what's your thoughts about Megan's braces? Well, I know she needs them. Duh, look at her. God dang, what do you think she get? What do you think? And maybe she lived in a blind community, she wouldn't need them. But and it's not about biting, chewing. Hell, people that don't need teeth are obese. Okay, if you think the bite's bad, stick your finger in there and check it for yourself. It's not about bite. It's not about chewing. It's not about mastication. Just like implants aren't about form and function and retention. It's about mental health, not dental health. Sure, I can eat anything in the world. I can swallow my food whole. It's that I can't sleep with my denture in my mouth anymore, and I don't want to sleep without my lower denture next to my husband, Frank, or he won't think I'm that beautiful girl he married 40 years ago. And hell yes, my daughter can eat. Look at her. You put her in Nikes, and she needs a trampoline to get off the ground. It's a fact that they're not straight, they're not pretty, and it's my little girl, and I want her to look nice, and I want a brace. I'll say, well, Mama, what's your thoughts? And she'll goes, well, when did you think we need to start? Well, only by going through Brock Rondeau's 4 3-day weekend course and going through Richard Litz. By the way, a lot of orthodontists, they say things like, well, you just can't go take a weekend ortho course and learn how to do ortho. Who said anybody went to a weekend ortho course to learn ortho? Every dentist I know that's into ortho, like me, I went to Richard Litz program. It was 4 3-day weekends. And then I went to more. Then I went to Jack Sheridan's. Then I went to Harry Green's. Then I went to Brock Rondeau's. It's a life-learned deal. And you start by doing 1 or 2 cases. And then maybe later on you're doing 5 or 6 cases. But I've sold over 100 cases of orthodontics right there in the hygiene check in 3 minutes. Say, well, Mom, what's your thoughts on Megan's ortho? Braces. Well, I know she needs them. When does she have to have them? I'll say, well, you're lucky. She doesn't have a jaw problem. You know what a jaw problem is? Have you seen that little girl that when she smiles, her gum shows and she doesn't have a chin? That's because whoever gave her upper jaw was about 6 foot tall, and whoever gave her lower jaw is about 5 foot tall, and the parts don't come together. And if it's a girl, we got to get in there before 12 and a half and pull that jaw forward, the lower one forward, and shove the upper one back. Or if it's a boy, we got till about 14 and a half. But look at Megan. I sit her up in the chair. Megan, lip your lips. Smile. I say, Mom, she's a good-looking kid. Her face is fine. She just has no orthodontic problems, just a crowd of teeth. And so you don't have to do that anytime. She goes, well, when would you recommend it? And instead of the orthodontist saying, well, she got a malocclusion and a bad bite, I go the other way. I think abundancy, self-esteem. I say, well, if I was you, Mom, I wouldn't even do ortho on her, at least till after college. What I would do, I'd pull her front 4 teeth, leave a big space there until she got out of college. Then I put the teeth back into brace, because right now, she's good looking. You put braces on her, she'll probably be married before she's 14. And you don't want her to be a Democrat and live in the projects and get married at 14. I wouldn't do them. And mom's laughing like, that's my little girl. If dad's in there, when do you think Billy should start ortho? Hell, I wouldn't give him ortho. Hell, I bet he eats you out of the house right now. Look at the guy. Hell, he's as tall as I am, and he's 12. I wouldn't straighten his teeth. How much money you got to feed this kid? And he's all smiling, and he was just sit there and say, Dad, if it's orthodontic, if he's got a jaw problem, like Jay Leno, his lower jaw just keeps going and going and going, and his upper jaw's here, because someone about 6'5" gave him this jaw, and someone a midget gave him this jaw, or reverse, I don't have a chin, and when I smile, a lot of moms say, well, what do you think about the smile? Well, when she smiles, her liver shows. And I'll say, well, that's actually not her liver. That's her gums. Her liver's down here, but that's a whole other story. But if it's something with the face, girls before 12 and a half, boys before 14 and a half, if it's no face problems, just teeth, my God, we can do it. I got a lady in ortho. The oldest case I did was 57 years old. And I thought that might be a record until I looked in the literature. God, I was blown away. There's a zillion cases done past that. I found one case on Grateful Med. It was done on a 91-year-old woman. Now, I know the only reason they probably did her because she had Alzheimer's and they just wanted to get the record. So if you know anybody who's completely mentally lost their mind on a feeding tube at 100, send it to my office. I'll do free ortho. But so you sit there and get in there. I think ortho's the funnest. I mean, it's kind of tough. We're talking about if you go to the playground every day and you hate the kids and there's a bully on the playground, you have to go there because your mom's dropping you off while she goes to work. It's a very stressful environment. And you know what? If all you do is go into dentistry and you just blood and implants and sinus lifts and root canals, I love it. When you sit there, you're finished with a molar root canal, or you just got done placing an implant, and you're rolling your neck, and you're like, by the way, the reason I'm always popping my neck is because I hate using a mirror. I've always got my big 20-pound bowling ball, bald head overlooking there. My chiropractor's always telling me, God, Howard, you got to use a mirror, you got to get posture. And he said, when my neck hurts bad enough, I'll quit doing it and it'll go away. But it's so beautiful when you walk out and you're just beat and you're rolling your neck and you're just like had the heck beat out of you for an hour. And you look at the schedule, what's next? 2 ortho checks. I mean, they're fun. They're bloodless. I mean, what is ortho? Glue and rubber bands. I mean, if you were in a head-on car wreck, lost half your brain on the interstate, the neurologist, as you woke up, would probably say, Doctor, I'm sorry. You're in a bad collision. You lost half your brain. You'll never do an implant, a sinus lift, or a root canal again as long as you live. Your practice will be limited to orthodontics. It's glue, it's rubber bands. Doctor, if you can't figure out how to do ortho, just watch your assistants. Because if you go to orthodontist office, 99% of it's done by the assistants. In fact, if you walked into 100 orthodontist offices at the same time, 5 of them wouldn't even have the orthodontist in the building. Some of them would be at the lake. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's cosmetic stuff. It's hard to get in trouble, especially if you keep taking course. I recommend go through Brock Rondeau's and your staff through June Rondeau's, then go through Richard Lidd and MT's Monge's and go see a bunch of people. It's a lifelong deal because it's a very powerful world. In fact, studies at Harvard University show that use of the word because increases case acceptance 60 to 93%. For example, you need to have this tooth restored because if you don't, it will break and cause you a lot of discomfort and pain. Really what the because is it's separating this is the score. You need to have the tooth restored. That's a score. You need to have this tooth fixed. Because is really a hyphen going to the incentive. Because if you don't, it's going to break. What would happen if I said to you, you have to have, I'm sorry, it's an emergency room, you come in there, and I say, I'm sorry, you have to have both your legs amputated, and I recommend amputating them right now. Anybody that passed the 8th grade would say, well, what happens if I don't amputate my legs? You'd say, well, nothing. They'd say, okay, well, I'll think about it, and they'd run out the door. Okay? When you sit there and say, well, I really think Megan should start braces now. And if you don't say, because if she ever wants to grow a chin or get her liver crammed back up underneath her nose or fix her all up orthodontically, it's going to be surgery. Surgeries on lower jaws, 1 in 3 has some form of paresthesia. I mean, it's not good stuff. You got to sit there, you got to know this stuff. Cases like this, what are you going to fix that with veneers? What is that? An underbite, crossbite, whatever you want to call it. All I know is you fix that stuff with veneers. It looks good. I see these cosmetic gurus out there showing all their veneer cases, and I guarantee you, they've never done an ortho case, and that picture's about a week old because the bites they're doing veneers on, they're going to be chewed off. In fact, I'm surprised they got the after picture. Same thing with TMJ. You know, people would take this case, they do an equilibration, they tell the kid to wear a bite splint. Do you want to go to bed every night with army boots on for the rest of your life? Could you imagine wearing a bite splint? You can get rid of half of these gosh darn bite splints, just banding these people up. Seems like every TMJ grinder, stressed out person I get doesn't have canine guidance. And why put in a bite splint and try to get canine guidance on a bite splint? Why don't you just throw them in ortho? And why do adults not like ortho? Because the orthodontists are provider focused, they're not consumer focused. Orthodontists say, well, for my own needs, we like to have an open bay where we like to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chairs in a circle so that I can just rotate myself. See, you're a provider focused, you're all worried about yourself rotating. The adult comes in here, how would you like to be a 40-year-old man, you're a marketing salesman, and you come in there and sit down in a chair, and there's a 5-year-old on this side and a 7-year-old this side. This little girl's with her mom. This little girl's with her dad. You feel like you're in the wrong place. When you go to McDonald's, do you sit in the balls when you eat the damn hamburger? Hell, I stay in my car, I'm eating the road. Orthodontics, adult orthodontics is a disaster in orthodontic offices unless they have an adult room. Ask the adult, say, sir, for your ortho today, would you like to play in the balls with the kids crying with their moms and dads and feel like a big buffoon? Or would you like privacy? Same thing, I have all operatories, all walls, all closed doors, and orthodontists say in my office say, well, this really wouldn't work for me. Hell, you wouldn't work for me. You get up every morning, look in the mirror, me, self, me, self, me, self. I got my eye on the consumer. Consumers want privacy. They want their own door. They want their own room. And here you fix this kid. I mean, and a lot of these cases on young kids like this, these are 18 months. A lot of people think ortho's 2 years. Look at this case. I mean, my God, what are you going to do? Put veneers on it when they're older? What are you going to do? Tell this lady that, yeah, she can do ortho anytime because you don't understand the orthodontic complications? You know, that's 24 months later. Actually, that was 2 phases. But look at that. And think about this little girl. I mean, my gosh, when she walked in, she's what you call a 12-pack woman. Now she leaves, she can dance with anybody in the bar. And, this says orthopedics, orthodontics. I just don't have faith. And when dental schools tell me, well, orthodontics isn't a requirement, but pulling teeth and dentures are, maiming people, giving them wooden legs and wooden eyes are, but orthodontics are. And when these dental schools say, in fact, this is what I do. I do some class action lawsuits. I'd love to do this. In fact, I'm thinking of law school just to sue dentists. And, all the dentists always brag, well, my wife's a lawyer, but she won't sue dentists. She's for the dentist. Not me, man. If I was a lawyer, I'd go after you. I got all these state dental schools, 54 dental schools. They say, well, we think if you want to be an orthodontist, if you want to do ortho, you should be an orthodontist. Well, really, buddy? Well, who's paying for this damn dental school? The state taxpayers. 45% of the citizens in this state don't live in a city with an orthodontist. So if you have an elitist attitude, do it on your own nickel. Don't take the rural community's tax dollars and then graduate specialists. Look at the physicians. 50% of their graduates are specialists. Then you go into a rural town of 2,000, there's no specialists. This country needs to get back to dentistry is a hell of a lot better than physicians because we are 82%, and don't call them general dentists and then 18% specialists. What is a general dentist? I'll see you at a party, and you'll say, and they'll say, what do you do? And you say, I'm a dentist. You say, what kind of dentist are you? And then you start to wear it out, introvert, geek out. I'm a general dentist, damn it. They don't even know what a general dentist is. Usually they grab their person and run. Say, I do family practice. Yeah, I do them from 3 to 100. I mean, we do kids, adults, grandma. Got a grandma in the nursing home, bring her in the wheelchair. You got a 3-year-old. We're family practice. And dentistry is 82% family practice. Physicians are 55% specialists. That's why the cost structure is polluted. That's why no one can get any quality health care in the rural areas. The AMA and the government needs to get medical schools to get back to family practice, and the dental schools need to realize that when you have 45% of the taxpayers in the rural area, that you've got to redesign your dental school curriculum in case 45% of your dentists go back to the rural like they've been doing for the last 100 years, and they don't know how to do ortho. They can't even diagnose orthodontic surgery. And you go into a dental school, you can't even get dentures and amalgams and extractions off the curriculum because Dr. Bumblebutt will lose his job because he'd have to be replaced by someone that could do adhesive dentistry or occlusion or orthodontics. We need to re-engineer the curriculums of dental school, not incremental improvement. We need to go, what's the difference between incremental improvement and re-engineering? Incremental improvement is where you say, well, we used to make glasses and we would break 15 glasses out of 100. And then we did some improvements and modifications, and now we only break 12 glasses for 100. Well, when you go from breaking 15 glasses to 12 glasses 100, that's called incremental improvement. When you sit there, you should say to yourself, why do we break any glasses? And then go in there and re-engineer a thing. Re-engineering, technically, by Tom Peters in Search of Excellence, probably the smartest guy that ever lived in consulting, says re-engineering is at least when you do something 30% cheaper, 30% faster, or 30% higher quality. If you're dealing with a 5 or a 10% improvement, your incremental improvement, which means you still haven't got to the core of the problem. What is the core of the problem? And you did not solve the core problem unless you did it 30% better, higher quality, 30% cheaper, 30% better service, product, what have you. And I'll tell you what, would you rather go do a root canal on a 78-year-old grouch fart with a liver spot on his head, or deal with kids like this all day? No blood, no guts, just beautiful kids, making them beautifuler, and photo document all these cases. There's nothing more I like when they're coming in from college now, and I show them pictures in their photo album. I said, Megan, you're at Arizona State University, and you think you are one pretty chick. But I'm the one who made you pretty, not your mom, not your dad. And I got 4 boys. You better make sure that you go to ASU. You fix these boys up on a date with someone as cute as you. Inflate their self-esteem. These people are bonded. They'll be with you forever. I had a girl the other day from Arizona State University, saved 17. She's looking at the case I did on a little. I swear she would not leave until she had those photos. She did not want anybody on the planet to have those photos. And little did she know I have them on digital Panorex and that she's on this gosh darn. Little does she know everybody around the world's looking at. She thought she walked out with the pictures. Hell, I'm selling these photos in Australia, New Zealand, Poland, and all 50 states and Canada. I'll probably be sued blind one day. But, this is the fun stuff. I mean, that's fun. That's what cosmetic dentistry is all about. Don't let some guy telling you that he's a cosmetic dentist. The only thing he's got is a drill, a bird, some glue, and some porcelain. Orthodontics is where it's at. And thanks for another fun day. I'll see you again tomorrow.